Okay, let's just dive right in with a pretty bold statement, huh? Miracles don't exist. Now, I know that sounds kind of cynical, but what if I told you it's actually one of the most empowering ideas you could ever embrace? We're going to unpack why this phrase isn't negative at all, but a huge declaration of what we're all capable of. And this sentence right here, this is the key to the whole thing. It flips the script on everything we think we know about overnight success, sudden breakthroughs, or those moments that just seem way too good to be true. It's suggesting that behind every single miracle, there's a process, a story that was completely invisible. So, to really get this, we first have to break down why we even see certain things as miracles in the first place. We've got to deconstruct the illusion. Our brains love to be efficient. They love shortcuts. So when we see some incredible result pop up out of nowhere with no obvious cause, our brain needs a label for it, fast. And miracle, well, that's the perfect label. It's a neat little psychological shortcut that lets us file away the amazing result without having to deal with the long, messy, and complicated process that actually led to it. And this gets us right to the heart of it. We see the final result, but we don't see the process. We see the instant it happens, but we miss the long duration of effort. We're blown away by the astonishing outcome because all the invisible work that built up to it was, well, invisible to us. A miracle is simply born in that gap between what we happen to see and what we don't. Okay, so if it's not a miracle, what is it then? Well, this brings us to the real force at play here, the true engine behind these incredible results, the power of accumulation. This is a fundamental law, really. Whether you're looking at nature or at our own lives, nothing just happens all of a sudden. Every major transformation, every big shift is really just the moment that a long, slow, steady buildup finally breaks through the surface and becomes visible. Just think about boiling water. Super simple example. At 21 degrees, it's just water. At 75, it's hot water. Even at 99 degrees, it's still just water. Nothing's really changed. But then you add that one final degree, and boom, it transforms into steam. So, was that last degree the miracle? Of course not. The miracle was the entire journey. It was the accumulation of every single degree that came before it. That final degree just revealed the change that had been building the whole time. And this is not just a science lesson, right? This exact same structure applies to almost everything meaningful in our lives. You don't just wake up one day fluent in a new language. You don't suddenly find yourself in a deep, trusting relationship. And you know all those overnight success stories? Yeah, that band with the hit song probably spent a decade playing to empty rooms first. All these things are the product of countless, tiny, accumulated efforts. The practice sessions, the tough conversations, the small choices that finally, eventually, hit a tipping point. Now here's where it gets really interesting. If we buy into this idea of accumulation, it forces us to completely rethink a word we all try to avoid, failure. It actually shows us its hidden purpose. We have to get this straight. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's an essential ingredient. It's part of the recipe. Think about it. Every attempt that doesn't work out, every single setback, from the outside, it can look like a long, painful string of failures. But on the inside, something totally different is happening. You're building a structure. You're collecting data. You're getting stronger. You're laying a foundation. Those so-called failures, that is the work. That is the accumulation. And what's so powerful about this is that it's not just a nice theory. It's a practical tool. It lets you stop waiting around for the future and start actively designing it. This really shows us there are two different kinds of hope. There's hope in miracles, which is passive. You're basically just waiting for lightning to strike. But then there's hope in structure, and that's active. It's based on a process that you can actually design and trust. You stop being a spectator in your own life, and you become the architect. And I really want to be clear about this. Saying miracles don't exist is not meant to be a downer. It is the exact opposite. It is one of the most wildly optimistic things you can believe about what people are capable of. Because think about what this really means. If miracles are just the result of accumulation, then they aren't some magical gift reserved for a lucky few. They are the predictable result of a process, and that means they're accessible to anyone who is willing to put in the time, to trust the process, and to just keep adding one small, unseen effort on top of another. So when you really internalize this, it gives you a whole new way to see the world and to see your own place in it. It completely changes what you find amazing. So what's the bottom line? How does letting go of the idea of miracles actually change anything for us in a practical way? It completely shifts your sense of awe. You move away from being impressed by some mysterious supernatural force that's totally out of your control. And instead, you develop this deep, profound respect for the process itself. You stop looking for the magic trick and you start seeing the real beauty in the work, in the quiet, consistent, relentless effort that makes incredible things all but inevitable. And so we end right back where we began. Miracles don't exist. There is only accumulation we have not seen. So the next time you see something that seems like a miracle in your own life or someone else's, just ask yourself, what's the invisible process I'm not seeing here? What quiet, steady accumulation just finally hit its tipping point? Because that accumulation, it's happening all around us, all the time, quietly building the future.